And in the main event of this week's SmackDown, Edge defeated Sheamus in what some have predicted could be the Rated R Superstars' final ever match. We already know that this is the final match of Edge's current deal with WWE, and some have even speculated that if his contract is up, then Adam Copeland could be All Elite. While Edge appearing at All In would be epic, it won't be happening, as PW Insider reports that the word in WWE is that Edge's deal won't expire until October. During a recent radio appearance in Toronto, Edge himself confirmed that he still has time on his current contract, but there's no word on how WWE plan to use him in that time. For Edge to appear at All In, a very special agreement would have to be made, and we seriously doubt WWE would be eager to help the biggest show of their competition. We know that Edge won't be debuting for AEW at All In next weekend, but could the former world champion one day be All Elite? After all, AEW has signed plenty of ex-WWE names, including Edge's best friend and once on-screen brother Christian Cage, and many in WWE are seeing a jump as inevitable. Ringside News was told by a tenured member of the WWE creative team that the two sides did not come to terms in the latest negotiations between Edge and the company, and many predict a new deal won't be reached. Right now, there is a growing speculation that Edge ends up going to AEW, and while it won't be at All In, it could be pretty soon after his WWE deal expires. If AEW does want Edge, they'll have to work quickly, as the Hall of Famer has made it clear that he's unsure as to how much longer he'll be competing in the ring. In an update from Fightful Select, it is revealed that many in AEW think Edge joining is a real possibility, and that Edge would ultimately regret not giving it a shot if his career is indeed ending soon. Edge has no shortage of friends in AEW, including Chris Jericho and Christian Cage, while FTR are known to be close to Edge and even helped train with him for his in-ring return. Tony Khan wanted Edge back in 2019, before it was even known if he'd wrestle again, and after learning of this, Vince McMahon told Edge that if he felt that an in-ring return was to happen, it should be in WWE. This year may be AEW's only chance to sign Edge, in what would no doubt be a high-dollar contract, but would you like to see Edge in AEW, or should his in-ring career end in WWE? During this year's WWE draft, several superstars were called up from NXT, and there's been mixed results from those moved from the Gold brand. While names such as Grayson Waller and Zoe Stark have excelled on SmackDown and Raw respectively, not everyone has done as well, and perhaps none have done worse than Odyssey Jones. Called up to Raw, Jones has wrestled on Raw a total of 0 times so far, and it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that Jones hasn't been used. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that WWE haven't had any significant plans for Jones on Raw, raising the question as to why he was drafted at all. Strangely, it was reported last month that Jones could be moving to SmackDown in due time, as he has done a couple of dark matches for the Blue brand and was impressing those backstage. As to whether Jones will have any better luck on SmackDown, time will tell, but right now the powerhouse is doing nothing on Raw, and that isn't expected to change. Next week, AEW will host its largest ever event, All In, and every star in the promotion has been eager to get on the card. All In will host just one women's match, a fatal 4-way for the AEW Women's World Championship, but one of the participants won't be walking into Wembley at 100%. During a Q&A behind Fightful's paywall, Sean Ross Sapp noted that Britt Baker is banged up, but it isn't known if there's a specific injury or just issues that have built up. Despite this situation, Baker is still expected to compete at All In, and Sapp noted that the DMD takes great pride in working through injuries and getting through situations. Even without the injury, Baker would no doubt have a tough match ahead of her, as she'll be facing Saraya, Toni Storm, and Hikaru Shida, but no injuries will keep Britt Baker from AEW's biggest ever show. With All In being mere days away, AEW were unsurprisingly building towards the mega show during this week's episode of Collision, and a major match was confirmed. It's been a few weeks since Samoa Joe laid out CM Punk and challenged him to a match in London, and Punk gave his answer this week. Joe kicked off AEW Collision this week, and he was supposed to have a match with a masked opponent in what many expected to be a simple squash match for the ROH World Television Champion. Instead, the masked Golden Vampire more than held his own against Joe, and would deliver a GTS on the champ before revealing himself to be CM Punk. Punk accepted the challenge for All In, admittedly using some saltier language than a simple yes, and it'll be interesting to see how this works, given both Punk and the Elite will be in Wembley. If this year's Forbidden Door is any indicator, Punk and Joe will be kept as far apart inside the stadium as possible, and fans in London will be treated to another blockbuster match next Sunday. It was in 2020 that Simone Johnson, now known as Ava Raine, signed with WWE, becoming the first fourth-generation superstar in the company's history. The great-granddaughter of Peter Maivia, granddaughter of Rocky Johnson, and daughter of The Rock, Ava has had an interesting time already in WWE and has finally competed in her first singles match. At a recent NXT Live event in Tampa, Ava not only made her singles debut, but the Schism member got the win, dispatching of Ivy Nile. Ava's time with WWE has seen her deal with some injuries, which have hindered her time in the ring, but the future looks bright for the fourth-generation star after her singles debut this week. LA Knight is unquestionably one of the most popular WWE superstars at this time, and as we've seen in the past, his popularity can't be contained to just one promotion. We've seen examples of pro-Knight chants breaking out during AEW shows before, and things went to another level during Collision. On last night's show, a giant sign reading "Yeah" was seen on camera among other signs, and it's clear that this was a nod to Knight's popular catchphrase. Knight remains popular with fans despite losses in the ring such as we saw on SmackDown this week, and expect his momentum to build with fans both inside and outside of WWE. And we're ending today with Bray Wyatt, as the former Universal Champion has spent the majority of his return to WWE off of TV due to a mystery illness that derailed all plans. Thankfully, Wyatt is said to be past the worst of this illness, and there have been creative plans pitched for his return, and now we've seen the former Fiend out and about. In footage shared to social media, Bray could be seen signing a fans' championship title, and certainly seemed to be doing well, even briefly speaking with the fan in question. WWE has kept quiet for the most part about Bray's situation, but it was noted recently that the company is looking at the long-term health of Wyatt before they make any decision for his return. Mike Rotunda, the father of Wyatt, who is better known as IRS, has said that he expects his son back on TV sooner rather than later, but it's unclear as to when exactly that return will be. Wyatt earned himself a thunderous response when he returned at WWE Extreme Rules 2022 last October, but this illness has put a serious damper on his return, and we'll have to keep waiting to see when he is finally back on our screens.